Session 43, Into the Frozen Moor, as told by Marder in the Last Lantern Tavern. The wind was still clinging to their cloaks when they stepped through the lantern's door, faces half frozen, eyes wide and hollow from what they'd seen. I told them to get near the fire, but none of them moved straight away. They had the look of folk who'd just come back from somewhere the sun doesn't dare shine. You see, they'd taken a job from a quiet sort. Anonymous, wouldn't even meet them in person. Just a note through me. Enter the peaks of Muros. Find the frozen corpse of a colossal worm. Go in through its mouth. Retrieve the gland. Don't break it. Sounded simple. But there's nothing simple about crawling into the mouth of a purple worm that died centuries ago and got itself frozen in place like a god's own spear thrust into the mountain. They told me about the climb first. The ice cliffs slick with wind-blown snow, the sound of the gale making it hard to tell if the mountain was groaning or if it was the worm itself. The mouth gaped wide enough for a wagon to roll in. Teeth like stone spires, each one frosted over. Inside was no cave. It was a grave. The air was still, the walls glistened with frozen cartilage, and the floor cracked under their boots. Somewhere deep in that beast's gut, the gland was waiting. Didn't take long before the worm proved it still had teeth of another kind. Bone-hook leeches, pale as death, hung from the ceiling ribs, lowering down with hooked tendrils, trying to drag them upward into the dark. They cut them down quick, but every fight in a place like that costs you breath you can't afford to lose. Further in, they found what they swore was a nest, an otyug that had made a home out of the worm's collapsed stomach, feeding on centuries-old rot. It came at them in the narrow tunnel, and the stink near felled them before its tentacles did. But the true terror waited in the heart chamber. That's where the gland was, still pulsing faintly in its cradle of bone. And that's where they met it. They called it the hunger echo, a spirit or maybe a memory of the worm's last meal and last breath. It slid along the walls without moving its body, whispered in voices they half recognized, made the lights gutter until all they could see was its eyes. It struck from angles no blade could guard against, gnawing at their minds as much as their flesh. But they fought it, steel, spell, and stubborn will. One by one they drove it back, until it vanished into the ice with a sound like a sigh. They took the gland, wrapped it in cloth, and made their way out, careful not to break what had cost them so much to find. And when they put it in my hands, I swear I could feel it beating, slow as a drum in the deep. The collector will be pleased, but I've seen enough in my years to know anything that still beats after centuries isn't done with the world yet.